Hi everyone, I thought I'd talk about the concept of triangulation today. It's a concept that students always find very fascinating, and I hope that whether you're managing people or you're working with your coworkers, that you'll love this concept too, just as much as my students have in my classes. I've got a narration on the side board here, so excuse me while I look up at it every once in a while. The concept of triangulation, let's talk about that for a minute. How many of you at work have had that coworker that you're best friends with, and they come to you and vent about their boss or vent about a coworker that they work with? Potentially a coworker that you've never worked with before. Your heart goes out to them. You want to be helpful and a savior and be a confidant to a certain degree. They're angry or upset, and they talk about how awful this coworker is and what they did, and in the end it changes your opinion of them, because you don't know this employee, you don't know this coworker, or even if you do, it subtly changes the way you perceive them in the office, because now you've heard about this story about this conflict, and therefore you think, maybe there's something to this. Maybe this and my coworker and my friend is right. But the problem is gossip forms, and artificial harmony begins to be created in the workplace, which is another concept I'll talk about in greater detail, because students find that subject really fascinating too. And you pretend like you don't hear anything when you meet with this coworker every once in a while in the office, and you pretend not to know the details. The problem is that you may be bonding with your coworker in the office, but you might be trying to help them out because they don't know how to deal with this coworker. But in the end, it can really ruin the reputation of your coworker that you just don't know anything about. It's a subtle form of bullying in the workplace. It creates passive aggressiveness in the workplace as well. It robs honest dialogue in the organization and reduces trust within the organization, because people don't feel like they can be honest. Because after all, if your coworker is talking about that other coworker, what are they saying about you behind your back? And it also creates an organizational norm and a team norm where gossiping is considered okay, or venting is also considered okay. How many have gone out for drinks on a Friday night with coworkers and you complain about the organization or your boss? But in the end, you may feel great because you vented about that situation, but it hasn't improved the organizational situation, because you really haven't talked to anyone that can actually do anything about it. And that's the problem about triangulation. It actually never solves anything. It makes you feel good for those 5-10 minutes, but when you go to the office tomorrow or the next day, the same problem still exists, because you never fundamentally dealt with it head on. And the concept we talk about in triangulation is that you've got to, what I like to describe, be the line, not the triangle. And what I mean by that is that when there's organizational conflict, you have to have a discussion with the person that you're having conflict with and try to work things out. So be the line and not the triangle, because in the end, this helps to really address the situation in the workplace and actually make things better by actually having a conversation with the person you're having conflict with. It reduces artificial harmony in the workplace, can actually make things better. And the analogy I like to use is, how many of us actually have a fight with our spouse or a partner at home, but if we actually talk to them about it, it actually makes things better. The worst thing you can do is let it fester for too long. And that's what happens with triangulation in the workplace. It just festers longer and longer, and actually involves more and more people in the workplace the longer you let it go. So when you hear about this concept, for students, they often say, wow, you're so right. It actually makes so much sense. I've got to stop doing this in the workplace. And it just seems like a favorite concept of students, and because they realize that they do it themselves. And they do it because they try to be helpful. They do it because they love talking to their coworkers. They do it because it makes them feel good for a little bit of time. But in reality, it never really does anything to address the organizational problems that happen. And it's best to be the line and not the triangle. So I hope you like that concept. And if you want to ask any more questions about it, just drop a comment below and send me a like, and send me a subscription as well, and I would really appreciate that, sir. So talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.